These new eyes in the sky are raising some concerns about law enforcement's capability for surveillance.
This is the Matrice 200 series, DJI's most rugged, reliable, and versatile commercial aircraft to date.
It's state-of-the-art technology that can go where police, firefighters, and paramedics can't. To that end, each is tricked out with 3 high-def tilt and zoom cameras, as well as thermal imaging, and that makes some people nervous.
They could be flying the drone outside here, right, while we're talking, and they're looking in the window.
Vic Walsack, the director of the American Civil Liberties Union in Pittsburgh, has concerns about their surveillance capabilities, especially by law enforcement.
This is a significant expansion on the police department's ability to invade people's privacy.
Saying that you don't care about privacy because you've got nothing to hide is no different than saying you don't care about freedom of speech because you've got nothing to say. That's a fundamental misunderstanding of the nature of rights and what privacy really is, what it's for. Privacy isn't about having something to hide. Privacy is about having something to protect. And that's a free and open society. That thing is liberty.
You know, a lot of people are worried about government agencies spying on them, but they don't seem to be worried about Google or AT&T, who are handling their data minute by minute, and in fact can do pretty much whatever they want with it.
Labeled one of New York City's weirdest and most iconic skyscrapers, 33 Thomas Street has been a source of mystery for many years. Constructed and owned by AT&T, this faceless concrete tower has been linked to the NSA.
Many are calling this skyscraper the most terrifying building in the world. Tom Hanks sure thinks so. He was taking a stroll in Lower Manhattan when he spotted the building and tweeted, "This is the scariest building I've ever seen. What goes on inside?" His tweet sent social media into a frenzy of speculation. It's the Men in Black headquarters.
I've definitely heard that there's maybe some secret government stuff in there.
What is it that people find menacing? Notice, no windows. Not one window on any of its 29 floors. Those aren't windows, they're giant air vents. So what gives? Well, we can now solve the mystery, or at least part of it. Turns out the building is owned by AT&T, and it doesn't have any windows for a reason. It may be the only skyscraper in New York City built to withstand a nuclear blast. There's reportedly enough food, water, and generator fuel to sustain 1,500 people for 2 weeks. The skyscraper is located at 33 Thomas Street in Lower Manhattan. According to a recent documentary, Project X, the building houses AT&T's telecommunications infrastructure and also serves as a listening post for the NSA, the super secret national security agency.
When approaching facility, ring the buzzer and wait for admittance.
Just look at the building. It's got no windows. It looks like something from a space movie. The building is very sensitive to the sun and temperature, so that's why you have these big vents that you can regulate, like basically a big air conditioner.
The main entrance is right here. When I walked inside and tried to get more answers, security told me the place was off limits to cameras.
For most of us, GPS is just how we get driving directions, but it's much more than that. If our GPS satellites were damaged, it could take down everything from electricity to transportation to our phones.
This is a major national security issue. It is a major economic issue.
Starting route to 50.
The same GPS technology that gives us driving directions through our phones also makes us vulnerable. Congressman John Garamendi says attacks or interference with GPS satellites could take out 911 systems nationwide, make ATM machines and credit cards useless, keep airplanes grounded, and even disrupt the country's electrical grid.
It can happen, and it has happened.
He says last year a GPS spoofing attack made it appear as though 20 ships in the Black Sea were instead at the Sochi airport. Another potential danger? GPS jamming devices.
You jam it around an airport, around a port. Ships won't be able to dock, planes won't be able to land.
Dr. William Cressy, a fraud expert with Governor State University, points to a 2013 incident. A worker evading his boss's GPS tracker on a company truck used the jamming device while at Newark Airport. The device crippled the airport. Planes could not take off or land. Cressy says GPS jammers can actually be purchased online.
I think it would be a wise move to somehow regulate the sale and use of GPS jammers. They are being abused for this reason.
And it's going to sit here and try to acquire satellites and not be able to get them.
GPS jammers, he says, can shut down alarm systems on ATM machines and create havoc with financial markets.
We are one of the only countries in this world that does not have a terrestrial-based backup system.
Countries like China and Russia have backup systems in case of attacks or other failures. The U.S. does not.
Some lawmakers are calling this one of the most debilitating threats to Texas, the electromagnetic pulse, or EMP.
Doug, our food, our water supplies, electronics, hospital banking, all of it depends on the electronic grid. Now, in the event of a widespread EMP attack, all of that could be wiped out.
Imagine one day if your lights, TV, and phone didn't work.
There'd be no water, no gas, no generators would start.
No electricity, all because of an electromagnetic pulse, an EMP, which is a powerful electric charge in the air that physically damages electronics within a given area. They can be given off by weather or a weapon.
Can you describe what the electrical grid looks like in this country and who runs the electrical grid in this country?
Sure. We have 3,000 different utilities that run the electric grid, which is privately owned. It's not run by the government.
And this you can just put on the wall, the water purification.
Some are already preparing for extreme situations.
That is a major concern.
Dana Ellington says that people come into his Richardson store every day worried about a severe power outage.
Food bars, food tablets, a little miniature stove.
And he's stocking up too. Water, food.
Our biggest sellers are the freeze-dried food.
When it comes to preparing for no electricity, I found out battery-operated items are the #1 seller, followed by solar.
You can be proactive or you can be reactive.
The reason some people want to be proactive now?
Taking out that part of our military would severely cripple our capability.
Paul says this isn't doom and gloom, but the state should take precautions. He'd like to see EMP shielding technologies installed on the grid system.
Electromagnetic pulse.
Yes.
Is that what electricity does as it moves? What does that mean exactly?
Well, think of it this way. I think everybody has had the experience of driving down a highway with your radio on, and then you pass under a high power line and you lose the radio. Then you come back out on the other side. That's basically all an EMP is. It's an electromagnetic field, all right? Except it's much more powerful than the field that you experience on the highway. Now imagine there's so much energy in that field that when you go through it, all the electronics in your car are destroyed. Now imagine that field is not just localized to a small spot on the highway, but it covers all of North America, and it would destroy electronics across that entire area. That's what could be accomplished if you had a single nuclear weapon and detonated it above the atmosphere.
The potential of an electromagnetic pulse or EMP attack on this country, this is deeply alarming, because this now makes it pretty clear that North Korea is almost within reach of Japan, and perhaps as well, with some success, the United States itself, or at least some of our territory.
Indeed, their current missiles can already reach Japan and South Korea. We talked last week about they can pose a satellite threat to the United States.
Are we absolutely convinced that they are working toward an EMP attack? How certain are you? We talked last time about 2 satellites held by North Korea that have been put up by North Korea that are going around the globe at the perfect altitude to carry out an EMP attack. How certain are you? What is your level of confidence?
Well, the EMP Commission has high confidence that this is part of the North Korean game plan. In addition to this most recent test, which, by the way, it was launched on a trajectory consistent with practicing for EMP.
North Korea may be ramping up its missile program on the heels of last week's summit. Experts are now pointing to clues in these new satellite images.
Experts say the rebuilding of this North Korean launch site is rapid and deliberate at a site that had reportedly been dormant since last summer. This morning, those new images of construction at this long-range launch site in North Korea, showing cranes, vehicles, and supplies next to the test site. The images emerging less than a week after President Trump and Kim Jong-un's Hanoi summit broke down, which just this weekend Trump called historic.
I had very productive meetings with Chairman Kim Jong-un. Very productive.
Experts believe construction began again at the site either shortly before or just after the Hanoi summit. President Trump has made the lack of testing of nuclear and missile sites a major talking point when citing progress with North Korea.
We have no testing, no missiles going up, no rockets going up, no nuclear testing.
You are entering one of the most secret places on Earth. It's a bunker built into a hollowed-out mountain in Colorado. It's just one of the top secret shelters where 7,000 Americans will go to in the event of nuclear annihilation.
The government built more than 100 of these bunkers and relocation facilities around the country.
There's no room for families. Wives, children not included.
The plans to get a small number of government officials out of Washington, out of major cities, and into these bunkers around the country. And it doesn't include families.
Garrett Graff is the author of the new book, Raven Rock, the U.S. government's secret plan to save itself while the rest of us die. Another bunker is buried in Virginia at a place called Mount Weather.
This is the Mount Weather facility about 60 miles west of Washington, D.C. And it looks like a typical secure government facility. It is surrounded by a chain link fence with a barbed wire at the top.
Armed security patrol the entrance to a doomsday bunker that's reserved for the wealthy elite.
Since the election of Donald Trump, we've seen a whole new demographic of people calling in, people that didn't know we existed before.
Larry Hall is the owner of the Survival Condo Project. These 16,000-pound doors lock you inside. We're heading deep below the surface of the earth into an underground bunker like no other.
We are in a typical full-floor residential unit, and even though we are more than 100 feet underground right now, you can see that it's certainly not a claustrophobic area.
12 luxurious condos exist here with fireplaces, high-end appliances, jacuzzis, even windows. Yes, windows. High-definition TVs broadcast a live feed of the outside world right into your living room. And look at this. It's a swimming pool with a slide and waterfall. Other common areas include a movie theater, rock climbing wall, and shooting range. There's even a farm that grows all the fresh fruits and vegetables you'll need.
This can grow up to 70 different species of plants, lettuces, tomatoes, carrots.
The bunker runs on power sources like wind and diesel generators.
We have enough fuel to run these diesels for 2.5 years.